In this video, we're exploring the tools that are used in DMAIC-based process improvement projects, tools that are typically used in the define phase, specifically in this video, the project charter. And the learning objectives will be to clarify the purpose of a project charter, to explore some of the limits a project charter has on the initiation of a process improvement project, how charters differ from project initiation and selection documents. We're going to review some of the common elements included in a process improvement project charter and give some tips on creating effective project charters for a process improvement project. So I thought I'd ask this question before we actually dive into the project charter template and description of all the field elements and tips on filling out a charter. This is a question I ask everybody in my process improvement and project management classes. What is the purpose of this thing called a project charter? I've heard about them, I've seen them, I know teams spend a lot of time on them, but what in the world is the purpose of one of these things called a project charter? Why don't you press pause, think about it for a second, come up with a list, and then we'll share our results. See you soon. Okay, we're back, and I wonder if your list is similar to mine. Wow, there's a lot of stuff there. And there's also a lot of poor handwriting there. But these are the common things that I hear when I ask folks, what's the purpose of a project charter? I hear many people say it's an official release of funds and resources. It's the firm's way of saying we're committed to taking a look at this particular thing. Definitely used in many organizations as a way to determine and select projects. We need to have something that describes all of the various initiatives that might be assigned funds and resources, and so this is a document that acts as a placeholder for project identification selection. It is for sure used as a communication document for internal, sometimes external stakeholders to describe why is everybody spending time on this? Why are we spending money on this? Can be used to define scope, what it is that will be worked on, and out of scope is just as important. What it is that we won't be working on. Quite often, it's used to communicate or show the amount of time that we can expect, what the schedule is, the cost or what the budget is, the risks associated with this endeavor, the constraints that the organization has associated with this endeavor. But I think the most important thing that a project charter helps with is it should create focus and alignment for the team leader, and the sponsor. This is critically important. You know you've created a good project charter if by the end of the project chartering exercise, these three groups are in alignment and focused on what needs to happen for success to occur. Okay, so I've got another thought problem for you. This one, again, related to process improvement projects and the project charter. My question is, when do you and the team know the least about the project? I don't think it'll take you too long to press pause and think about the answer for this one. All right, you didn't even press pause, did you? You know, when do we know the least about the project? I'll tell you when. This is one of the biggest problems with project charters and project chartering exercises. When it comes to process improvement projects, we're typically filling out or completing or updating a draft project charter on day one. Where it's a kickoff exercise. It's typically the first tool that we look at DMAIC-based process improvement project work. And on day one, That's when we know the least. Um, that's when we're going to have our most incomplete view of what current state looks like. It's going to be when we have the least knowledge about the data available, about what the root causes are. And and remember, for a process improvement project, we will not know the solution. That's one of the fundamental differences between a process improvement project and what I would call a traditional solution known project. In most temporary endeavors that have a beginning and an end and a series of steps to get to that end, that is the definition of a project. Most of the time, we know what the done condition is. We know what the success criteria are. We know what the solution is on day one. But in a process improvement project, we don't. We only know what the problem is. We know what is frustrating. We know what's creating dissatisfaction. We don't know why, and we don't know of the dozens and dozens of variables that are affecting this poor performance, which one is the one that needs to be resolved. But we certainly know what we certainly feel frustration right now. As a result, our process improvement project charters are going to be a little bit different than traditional project charters, where it's clearly stated what the solution is and what it will take to implement that solution. In a process improvement project, we don't know what the solution is, so the charter will be more around the investigation that has to take place in order to find out what that solution is. Finally, when it comes to a process improvement project charter, frequently organizations have many types of processes, many types of process improvement project opportunities, more process improvement project opportunities than they've got teams and people that can work on them. So some sort of project identification and selection approach takes place before the team is assigned this initiative. Where I'm going with this is that on day one, if you're given a project charter, here's what it really is. It's a project initiation doc. It's a project selection document. It was a document or a template that was created to help decision makers choose from the many, many, many opportunities available, the one that was the most important for this team to be selected to work on. The information then that's in there is at best a guess, probably not completely accurate, almost always incomplete of hard data, and is going to be what I call at best a draft project charter. Be careful of assuming that if you're given a project charter on day one, you don't have to go through project chartering. Project charters are not project initiation documents. So with these thought questions complete, let me zoom out. Here's what we know. A project charter is a focusing tool. It is something that at best is incomplete on day one because we just don't know that much. And it's going to require you and the team some work to update it, provide greater insight into it, and feedback loops will be necessary throughout the duration of the project. As new information becomes available, as new information is revealed, we'll probably be updating this project charter along the way. Because feedback loops are important, because we're going to be going back and iteratively updating this charter as new information is presented, I remind my teams on day one, we don't need to create a perfect document. Let's not let perfect be our enemy. A very good project charter is what we're looking for. Perfect isn't the goal, just very good. Something that creates this focus and alignment and make sure that the team and the team leader and the sponsor are all on the same page. Let's now take a look at a generic project charter template, one that we use in our business process improvement course, common fields that you see, and then give you some tips on filling out those project charters to create a document that can help see successful project outcomes. So I've cleaned up my screen just a little bit. Some of the information that I'm going to be pulling up comes from our business process improvement workbook. And there's a great section in there about project charters, and it walks you through and gives you definitions of each of these fields. But most of my time is going to be spent actually working inside a process improvement project charter template. This template is available on the course website, and there are dozens of different project charter templates out there on the internet that you can use. They all are very similar, but it's not so much what the template has, it's the information associated with each field that's important. So I'm going to zoom in on this charter template and we'll walk through the field elements next. To respect the time limits that we've agreed upon for these video lectures of keeping them under 15 minutes, I think I'm going to take a stop right now and we'll continue our discussion of filling out and completing a project charter in part 2 of this video series. See you then.